What I wanted to do with this video is share the obviousness of the entertainment value, but take it a step further, and also what the Donald Trump selection means for the next 4, 8, and 12 years at least. So this system is based upon your emotional body. It's based upon you believing in the system. For you to give your power away, for you to enslave yourself, you have to believe on every level: soul, mind, body. You have to believe in this system. All of this is a very intellectual enslavement program that is based upon keeping you away from utilizing your intellect individually and collectively to work for the benefit of yourself and the bigger families, your cultural family, your national family, and your collective family. It's founded on fear and low vibrations and the emotional body. So this is why you had the Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and so many TV show people getting involved and so many celebrities getting involved, because it was really just about making you focus your energy in it, because obviously this is just a computer program designed to make you're a robot that is not connected to the server of what is called the election process and the political game and all that stuff. That's a cartoon you think is reality. And the way they play that game for you to believe in is to continually trigger the idea that it's real. So you believe it's real when 9/11 hits and that happens. You believe it's real when your brother or your sister goes off to fight a war. You believe it's real because it's on television. You believe it's real because it's on social media. You believe it's real because it's taught in political science in your university system, in your high school, your public education. You believe it's real because you are trained to know the forefathers and Mount Rushmore and the version of history that only starts after the colonial age. You don't know anything beyond there. So this is the funneling of the information that leads to the mind control. Trump represents the actual synthetic version of reality. And beyond that, I wanted to take it a step further into realizing that the synthetic version of reality that we know as this presidential selection isn't only about the presidential selection. It's about how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to our loved ones, how we relate to nature and spirit as a whole. Like I said, we are on a mind control, on a soul mind control, a mind control, and a body mind control. On every level, we are locked down. And your belief in the system makes it real. The energies of belief make it real. So some people can believe themselves into sickness and disease and believe yourself into an actual death. And the way those belief systems and that energy focus is manipulated is with the magic of Hollywood, the magic of the mainstream media, television, those flicker rate energies, believing in politics and the chess moves of politicians like Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton and a Donald Trump and a Barack Obama and a George Bush and a 9/11 and Saddam Hussein and a Gaddafi and Putin. All of this is one chess game, and you're not playing. You're playing the checkers of like black and white on the streets, or black and black on the streets, because that separation from your knowledge of self has been so amplified over generations and generations, not only in your mind, but in the genetics of your body and the lack of connection with your soul essence, your ancestors. You believe this reality to be real, and that will be your experience. Obviously, Trump is an entertainer. If Hillary was selected, she just represents the old system, and the only thing that she was running on was the first female president. But that's not enough. You need more than that. And when you have the first female president and the only one qualified, in that space is Hillary, because she's obvious. She obviously ran against the first black president, so they have to play her again. They have to play that system. And this is about buying time. Remember, this is about buying time. It's not about electing or selecting presidents. This is about buying your consciousness, your focus, your energy, your time, stealing the future, stealing the present moment with the enslavement program, and adjusting the way you perceive your history, obviously with the stuff like the forefathers, the Constitution, the post-Columbian era, the destroying of history, the beating down of all of the cultures other than the so-called white race, and building up the supremacy program. All of this stuff is interwoven into the system. So Hillary Clinton wasn't enough. And since this is about buying time, they needed her not enoughness to... It's about buying time and slowing time. So they can buy time. They've been buying time, that obviously with Barack Obama. The charisma of his personality was enough to, and him being a first black president, was enough for people to buy 8 years of, or sell 8 years of time through his personality. When you had George Bush in there, he was an idiot, so they had to build the system up around him. And this is, they bought 8 years of time through the fear, the emotional grid of the military-industrial complex, 9/11, so on and so forth. That was a downtick. The uptick needed to be the next step, which was Barack Obama, the first black president, and his persona. Since he was an intellectual in a sense, especially in comparison to George Bush, he didn't need to do much, and the system didn't need to do much. They could do a lot quietly around him, so he could just deflect everything that's being said with his intellectual. Just by him sitting on the throne is enough. He was elected as the first black president, so-called black president, and he's smart. So since he pawns himself off as being smarter than everybody else and more powerful, obviously, in that position, then you don't need to do anything. The system can quietly expand itself around him just being there, which is what happened, in doing nothing and deflecting all of the questions that make the system vulnerable, which was why he was there. So 8 years of that, bought off, quieted, shut up. Now the next election, what was set up was either the first woman president, which she's completely corrupt. They needed her to be like that in order to sell in, because that wasn't the intention. They need to buy time, remember, and they need you to believe in this system. So in order to believe in the system and buy time, they needed an entertainer and someone to demonize the system itself to make you believe in it. So he's the conspiracy theory president. He's also an entertainer, and he was running on how jacked up the system, the establishment is. So now he beat the system up. Now he's a part of the system. Now that he's a part of the system, he has to assimilate to the system. And now that adds credibility to the system, which buys at least another 4 years. And you'll be entertained by it because he's an entertainer. You'll also believe in the system because he's connected with, or you've been primed by the mainstream media to believe that, or to want to know what's going on with Trump. That's why all these entertainers, celebrities, TV shows, talk show hosts made it such a big deal, focused on Trump, not only to make it believable that he could become selected, but to also make you watch politics as if it's real and believe in politics as if it's real. So, a buffer zone. The next obvious step after the first black president, who is actually running against the first possible woman president, is to bring in the first woman president. But if you can sell in the idea of the first woman president, beat her down and sell in another idea, which is the entertainment value, which is equal to the first woman president, equal to the first black president. It's your first celebrity president, kind of like a Reagan or something like that. So that's what they played. That's the card they played. And they bought the next 4 years. And it's the buffer between it's the downtick, because both Hillary and Trump represented a downtick after the first black president. He's the buffer. And like I said earlier, this is about stealing time, buying time. Bernie was there to build up the energy for the system itself, to pump up your belief in Hillary, to inherently pump up your belief in the system, and create an opposition, a superpower to run against the Trump, and he makes it. And if he wins, he's like, the system is not rigged. He won. He did it. And he's great. So now, obviously, when the establishment installs Trump into the system, it's a win-win for the system, because it doesn't matter who the president is. It matters what he represents. Trump represents make America great again. It doesn't matter. It's empty. It's just empty words, which is good for the system, because the system, just like they did with George Bush, can build around him, can rally around him. And his ego, he obviously just deflects everything. So anything that gets thrown against him is now a deflection for the United States itself. So anything that gets thrown against the United States will get deflected and turned into this egoic make America great again, which is the intention of a downtick being pawned off as an uptick in reference to the downwardness of the Bush, the upwardness of Obama, the downwardness. So now that since time is being so contracted, they got to fit in a downtick and an uptick in the next 4 years. He'll represent the good guy and the bad guy. So he started off as a bad, and this is the entertainment value. The people who are just like, in order for you to believe in the system and buy your time even more so, and make America great again, or make it not stupid, not ridiculous, not represent Trump, they have to build him up. So they now have to turn him from the villain into the superhero. And if you do that, you get win-win. You get the superhero and in believing in the system, and you get to sell the idea of making America great again. Those are all big heavy-duty upticks that Hillary Clinton did not have. She only had the first woman president and so-called qualifications, like her resume. It's like, well, get the fuck out of here with all that. We need a movie. We need a TV show. We need something big. We just had our first black president. We need something big now. That's for the people who believe in the system. But it's really about buying the time, because the next agenda after the Trump will be the first woman president, but she'll be a mixture of... Trump is a mixture of Obama and George Bush, which seems completely ridiculous, but in sense that he's just to people, he has like an entertainment value, the charisma, the big personality, but he's also like a piece of shit at the same time. Like, he's an idiot, he's a loose cannon, he could do anything. So, but that's entertaining. So it's an uptick and a downtick in order to buy the time. But it's really to set the platform for your next queen, your female, your woman president. His being buddy with Putin and all that stuff. This is the love and light, the precursor to the love and light agenda. The buying time, the selling, the soft version. They can't keep pushing fear and the military-industrial complex of the past, the old system, because people already understand they're tired of that shit. They're not going to believe in the system anymore. They need something new. So this is what the foundation, in order to buy time, in order for that actual extra newness, he had this is what Trump represents. He also represents the beating down of Obama coming up in the next 4 years, the beating down of the black man, because to build Trump up, he'll have to beat up Obama, and that's easy because he hasn't done anything, and all he has to do is some basic shit, and then they just have to build it up with the news. And they already are going to do that because they have to accept him as president. When you accept him as president, he's already the superhero. It's his. You can hear the people, USA, USA, make America great again, yeah. And he's gonna make it around, all this whatever the shit he's gonna do. And he doesn't have to do anything. He's already a superhero. He did it. And the news is gonna play. Obviously, you're gonna have people who talk about his lack of whatever and all the other bullshit that gets pawned off in the next 4 years. But that's the game that's being played, making him good guy, bad guy, in order to set up the next agenda. So now the change that they can believe in now that that was supposed to happen during Obama can now happen under a white man. And that will be your change you can believe in. And obviously they got the conspiracy theories. It's setting up the storyline to be told as they want it to be. As the supremacy program wants it to be, to buy time and to sell you the system as a whole. The buying of time is a Donald Trump for 4 years, and really he sets up the machismo perspective to set up for you to believe in the system, to have another change we can believe in. But really I wanted to do this video to go into the so-called future of why Trump was elected, and what he actually represents in relation to that mind control program as a whole, and what it sets you up for possibly 8 years from now and 12 years from now, definitely 12 years from now, and really about believing in the system. So how I'm seeing it, it's beneficial for him to be in there because it makes us people believe in the system as a whole. He's an entertainer. They'll watch the movie for the next 4 years and just be entertained by it, and he'll be the good guy. He has to be the good guy now. They'll continue playing that role because he can't be the bad guy anymore. Because if he's the bad guy, then America, the United States, is the bad guy. So obviously he's not going to be the bad guy. He's going to be the superhero. So if he's the superhero and he's changing from the villain to the superhero, then that means the United States, so-called USA, America, so-called America, is changing. So this is what the whole Make America Great Again program agenda represents. And that'll be the next 4 years, and we'll see. Trump is more obvious that this system is a piece of shit. So people are now like, oh, well, what are we going to do? What can we do? What is the system about? And obviously, Trump being in there, he builds up the racism paradigm, or that racist back and forthness for people who are still caught up in that emotional body. So it's like win for the establishment as a whole. I'm more like kind of lighthearted with Trump being in there because he doesn't represent the neutral zone anymore. Obama was neutral. Hillary would have been neutral. Trump represents something that is obvious, not neutral as in good and bad, but neutral as in nothing's going to happen. Good or bad, or good and bad, because it's just movement, it's just energy anyway. Trump represents something obviously different that can help people see the system for what it is. And if you see the system for what it is, you now have the responsibility to expand your consciousness outside of it. It's more obvious and up to you to expand your consciousness outside of those limitations. It's more obvious now that Trump's in there because he's gonna be him. They can only polish a turd so much, and they're getting their polishing stones. They're getting from everywhere, because if they polish the turd that is Trump, they're polishing the turd that is the United States mind control program on the collective as a whole, and they got to do that. They can't let that go. They already bought that idea. So he's an intelligent individual in some sense, and he's going to surround himself with people who are going to tell him what to do on an entertainment value, on an entertainment circuit, because that's who he is. He's an entertainer, just like Neil deGrasse and Bill Nye are the entertainment value talk show host, pretty much, of the university system. So one of the other things he's going to do to make America great again, you can't make America great again if you don't include intelligence. So this is why we're having the boom of all of these television shows that are based upon like outer space, or movies that are based upon Mars and Elon Musk going to Mars and the electric cars. The boom, or at least the introduction to that world, is part of how you would make America great again. Because the old system is dead, it's dry, it's based on profit. The reason why Bernie Sanders had such a powerful impact on the people and the system is because people are very well aware of the so-called powers that be, that have a stranglehold on the banking and the fiat currency system that's directly related to the politicians, and the entire web of control that relates to the politicians just being puppets. It's obvious. So Hillary Clinton was an obvious puppet. Donald Trump represents the individual who's not a part of that, in a sense, in the movie sense, kind of like Bernie was outwardly representing that with information. So people just took that obviousness and then just said, well, we don't want to be a part of the establishment anymore, so we're going to vote for somebody who's not part of the establishment, who might have a chance. It's like why he was saying in his campaign, what do you have to lose? Because basically the known was the people who are obviously puppets, which is Hillary Clinton. So you get people, the thing is to get people behind you, to get people riled up, invested in the system itself. It doesn't matter about the individual, it's about the system. Like Bernie Sanders, he was about changing the system. Hillary Clinton represented keeping the system the same. Trump was about destroying the old system and holding people accountable, throwing Hillary Clinton in jail, and so on and so forth. So you have the entertainer, you have the Make America Great Again, and you have the supremacy program mentality that is being, that fire that went out when the first black president was elected. So when all those people were sort of disenfranchised because the first black president came for 8 years, they played the role again of messing with the selections, playing with the emotional body, because the voting you're not voting. That is like, it's like playing with play school toys. It's like you're not pushing around a real shopping cart, little toddler. You're not really cooking a turkey in that play school oven, little baby. That's what's happening. People are putting plastic turkeys in a plastic oven and then eating acting like they're getting riled up because whatever. That's what this system is about. It's a game. If you understand that they are systematically killing people, celebrating it, controlling the masses, the haves and the have-nots, if you understand that, then you can understand that voting is not at all anything that is real. It's totally fabricated. And they have to sell you a movie reel. They have to sell you Hollywood. So, as I suspected, the entertainment value of a Donald Trump will run out for however many years. If they leave him in, if they continue to play that role, which I think is beneficial for the system because people are going to want to watch the show. That's what they've been primed for. Also to set the standard for this idea of change and this idea of make America great again underneath the slave master of the supremacy program, in order to make the next disenfranchised group, which is the people, the Bernie voters. They're all pissed off. These are slave masters. The White House is a slave house. capitalism is a sham. This democracy, so-called democracy, it's a sham. It's all a magic show. Like Hollywood, it's no different. It's getting so bad, and it's gotten so bad, some people already realize it, that they're able to see it through all of the illusions that maintain that illusory pyramid or foundation, that plastic fire. So this is how I'm seeing what Trump is going to do to, as he, just being who he is, people are going to see that nothing's going to change. It's going to stay the same and get worse in many ways. And the people who are going to finally see this are now the overtly disenfranchised so-called white people, next to the this is why gentrification is happening. This is why all of this stuff is happening. It's that trend will continue to grow, but it will be more visual. People will be able to see what's going on more so as the time goes on, and as you have this machismo idiot Trump as your so-called president, and then they're gonna realize, what the fuck did we just do? Like, we just elected this idiot. It really is up to us. Like, we have to do something, and that'll prime everybody to come together in some kind of format. And then that's how I'm seeing they will activate whenever that sweet spot happens in the people or in the consciousness, that's when the global agenda, or the so-called global agenda, will be activated. Because, like I said in the last video, it's about buying time. If they could buy 8 years with Trump, then, and instead of buying just 4 years with a Hillary, then they're gonna buy these 8 years and then sell another 4 years later on. Or if they could buy 4 years now and then 4 years down the road, because they can sell you a piece of shit and then sell you a shiny piece of shit 4 years later, why not buy 4 extra years? He's like a throw out year, or a throw out selection. So buying time, this is what it's all about. So the conspiracy theory storyline will still go on. Now he's going to be held accountable by the Alex Joneses, by the InfoWars. And if he turns his back on these individuals, they will turn on him. And then they will start this mentality of revolution against the system. He's just another puppet like the rest of them. And just like, and then they'll start this whole like, we need to revolt against the whole system. Like, so it's buying more time in the conspiracy world. It's the same shit. It's just about selling you storylines, getting you real riled up, and we're gonna take our. They're celebrating now. The Alex Jones InfoWars. They really think they did something. They beat somebody, and it's not like they think that, because they know who they are. That's the energy that they're promoting to the people who follow them, who actually think that they think that, and they think that for themselves. So that's the intention of the information sharing program that is the alternative news, that is the controlled demolition, controlled opposition, Alex Jones InfoWars, conspiracy theory, mind control program. Same goes with the conscious community. They release some little information here and there, or the so-called conscious community and the so-called new age community. It's really about buying your time, releasing secret space program information so you can believe that whatever is coming out that used to be secret, the alien agenda, we need to know about aliens. The alien agenda maintains the power of the government, because if the secret space program gets released, who you think's going to be giving you that secret information? The individuals who are keeping it secret. And that makes them the good guy, from the bad guy to the good guy. Just like Trump is a piece of shit in the campaign, and now he's going to be promoted as the good guy because they have to do that. He's the president now. Just like the opposite was the same, which is the same for Obama. He was the good guy in the campaign, and then when he got elected, or selected, he was a piece of shit, a neutral, dry piece of toast, a dry piece of Wonder Bread, an intelligent, dry Wonder Bread sandwich. Trump landslide broke the back of election fraud. That's to make you believe in the system again, like I said in the last video. So because he won so bigly that you think the system is still real. So this is not for this election. This is setting you up to believe the next election. If Trump can win this election, and he did it, then that just makes the next election more realistic for you. And that's what InfoWars and Alex Jones and all these people are about. That's what this whole system is about, to make you believe in the system so you can give your power away. And the people who have been benefiting from this system, the way it's been existing, have been the people in the white privilege and white supremacy program that benefit. Obviously, the so-called white people, when you have the White House and all of your presidents being of that vibration, what is known as white. This is the same stuff that happens, and it's a mentality. This is part of the supremacy program. That your Fox News and your politicians, this is the story that they're telling, and they're going to more outwardly tell in the future when you have a Donald Trump in the office. So just as much as they're going to make him the superhero, he will simultaneously be a piece of shit in some kind of way. And you cannot, like I said, you can only polish a turd so much. You're going to have these people out there like protesting and maintaining that he's a piece of shit. Still believing in the system. All these people protesting, it's because they believe in the system. You're still asking the system for something that they have zero interest in your well-being, zero interest in what you think, zero interest in you. If this was real, these protests were real, based in something that was real and actually human, these protests would have been going on during the entire campaign, not after the election. They would have been going on during the campaign, because both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump represent the same slave program. This happening after the selection is a proof that these individuals are still within the box. And the InfoWars mentality will sell this. They'll give Trump some time to do what he's going to do, but eventually they will jump on board of this protest movement against the system, because they'll realize that Trump is just a part of the system, just like Hillary would have been, just in a different style. And if they leave him in there, and this is what they want. They want people on the streets. They want people on the streets to make you, who don't go on the streets, to believe that the system is real, whether you think the system is whatever, or the people who are on the sidelines or on the fence or whatever. They think, oh, well, that's a good thing. Yeah, they're out there. Some people are thinking like that. I'm glad they're out there protesting. If I had the time and the energy, I would go. So thank you. Good job. Those are people who believe in the system. Then you have the other people who are angry now. They're just like anti-Trump protests underway. The people who are for Trump, who are for the system the way it is now. Now they're angry. Now they see an opposition. They say, oh, well, these people are on the streets. And it's such a complex system. But when you zoom out and realize that it all exists inside of a box, the complexities get really obvious. And it's not complex anymore, because you realize that this is all a movie. It's all a box. It's all a sham. They need low vibrational energies to be paying them their energy into the system as batteries, as slaves, and they won't do anything about it. They won't do anything about the system. They'll just become part of the system. So they get all these videos of these people crying, like, oh my God, fucking Miley Cyrus. Like, who gives a shit about what Miley Cyrus thinks about, did she really deserved to be the first woman president? According to who? According to your silly ass? Miley Cyrus and Kylie Jenner and Katy Perry and Ariana Grande. Who the fuck cares about what they think the president should, like, oh, she should have been the first woman president. According to what? And people are just crying along with them. It's okay. We'll get them next time. 4 years a slave. So the fake polls are like Alex Jones. Alex Jones and InfoWars believes that the polls are fake. Like, that's obvious, like, to me. And when you understand, like, the election is just synthetic. So they understand that the polls are fake and the election is rigged for if it's for Hillary. But when the election votes for Trump, then it's not rigged. But the polls are still rigged. See, this is that mentality that doesn't get spoken about in the so-called conspiracy theory mentality. It's just like TYT has to back up everything that they were saying before the election. It's like, oh yeah, we said this and we projected this. They've been dogging Donald Trump and they've been on the wrong edge of that because they were trying to sell you Hillary. That's why. Now they're doing damage control. So yeah, so with InfoWars, the polls are fake, but the election is real. It's ridiculous. So what else is being projected by the so-called conspiracy theory stuff or election or the next 4 years, when Donald Trump turns his back on Alex Jones and they start turning their back and trying to create another revolt against the system, and then when Michelle Obama or whoever else gets put out there to be the next kind of Michelle Obama to challenge Donald Trump, then they'll just activate the establishment again. Trump was just part of the establishment. He tricked us. Oh, you dirty little guy. How did you trick us? So we are the people. We are the American people. You're not going to trick us again. We're going to challenge. We need to get the people together and fight the system. It's like, you fucking asshole. We've been already saying this shit. Your stupid ass got behind Trump. Nobody tell you to get behind Trump unless you're part of the system, which you obviously are. So yeah, the InfoWars is going to push this whole economic collapse. They need to implode the dollar. It's already imploding, so it makes sense that they would probably implode it and do some kind of economic thing in order to bring in the global agenda. I don't know if they're going to do it during the Trump thing or whatever. Like I said, it's beneficial for the system to leave Trump in there, to build it up, to buy more time before they bring in the global agenda. Because the more time that they get, the more people will believe in the system. And it needs to get smart. It needs to be, it's been dumb. It's been quiet with Obama. It was dumb with Bush. It's been quiet with Obama and destructive with Obama. And now it's dumb again with Trump. So they need to get smart again. And since he's an entertainer, and people like Neil deGrasse is an entertainer, and NASA is entertainment, and the university system and gravity and SpaceX and Elon Musk and Tesla and all that stuff is entertainment, they need some more time to build it up before they crash it in order to activate a successful global agenda. Now they could do it. They can do it any time because they can always play the fear program, implode it, crash the economy, or do whatever they're going to do to activate the new savior, this new currency or whatever it's going to do. They can play that because it's all about the fear. It's all about what's going to happen next. What will our protectors or saviors or leaders do next? They can play it any time, but what will be more effective, more believable for the system is to play it when it's at a peak, at like an up peak. So more people will believe in it. So like I said, Make America Great Again is going to be the movie, the entertainment that will be played out for this next however many years to make you believe in the system again, because Obama was just to buy more time. So in order to make an idiot like Trump smart, he has to team up with the entertainment value of Neil deGrasse Tyson. And of course, they've already been playing this card so much, and they'll continue to play this card with people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye. I forgot about this. I mentioned it in a video about how Bill Nye will save the world. His Netflix thing is coming out in next year, like January or February, where it's called Bill Nye Saves the World. And that's going to be about science or the artificial science. And they're going to sell in this new version of science, all this Mars stuff, all this future stuff for you to believe in. And and all Trump has to do is invite the leading scientists of our society to the White House and have a science meeting. And they'll talk about what we can do for the future. Because he's an idiot, so he'll need to be looking smart. So he's just going to surround himself with the people who are known to be smart, and they're going to buy this shit up, and then they're just going to just do what Obama didn't do because he was a part of the establishment and Trump is not. So it's going to be this renaissance of science and politics like never before. That will make America great again. We'll make America smart again by doing whatever it is that we're doing. We'll talk about the moon and NASA and going to Mars and solar panels with Elon Musk and all this other shit that's been on Discovery Channel, National Geographic. He's an entertainer, so he's going to play the TV. He's going to be the reality TV star, for you. That's the only way he'll be liked. He needs to be liked. That's what the artificial ego is about. He needs to be liked. He needs to be trusted, and he needs to be smart. And he's lazy. He's not going to read any books. He's not going to do any of this stuff. He's just going to surround himself with people or get involved with stuff, just like Obama was on Viceland and stuff like that. But instead of deflecting the storyline, he's going to act like he's ahead of it, like he's in charge of it. He's going to have more of an authoritarian sort of engagement in the presidential seat, as opposed to Obama, which was more about deflecting any kind of questions in order to maintain the secrecy and the 0 degrees of movement of the system. So any kind of movement Trump does will be celebrated as amazing. But yeah, they'll get these little pieces of shit like Neil deGrasse Tyson calling himself an astrophysicist to go out and talk about the moon and politics and make it look real stupid and make themselves look real smart, and then eventually start to team up and make America great again, whatever the hell that means. So in order to sell a global agenda, a so-called global agenda, they have to have something that unifies people. Divisiveness actually unifies people, or at least sets the platform or the foundation for a broader unified perspective, other than like the happy-go-lucky version. Like people are able to see it more so and can talk about it more when it's in their face in an emotional style. This is why you have all these false flags and all this stuff that really stirs up the emotional body particles into your reality, so that you exist in a fear mentality and just react in a fight or flight. And your reaction is not your reaction. Your reaction is based upon the so-called powers that be that react for you. So since you're kept still in ignorance with the so-called powers that be's mentality and the university mentality, you are only in the know. You're on a need-to-know basis, and you don't need to know anything in reference to your own, the maximum potentials and the maximum available styles of existing in your reality that exists outside of the enslavement program. You don't need to know any of those systems, because if you start to know those systems, it's the same thing like breaking the pressure relief valve of the system. Donald Trump represents the vanity, materialistic leader. And in order to sell in the next civil rights time frame sort of unification, desegregation program of today is the global agenda. So there is definitely an intention for a Donald Trump, and it is in direct relation to this global mentality or global agenda, when you realize that he's directly teamed up with Alex Jones in the so-called conspiracy theory. So he's not going to be able to get away from that unless he completely turns his back on that whole energy, which he's going to have to do in some kind of way because he has to assimilate into the system, which is so far from even talking about any of that stuff. So eventually they'll get pissed off, which will only add to the divisiveness of this racism and separatist mentality and this sexism mentality and all these separating thought patterns that have been promoted in the recent years in order to sell a more so-called unified version of reality. We need to come together and fight climate change. We need to come together and fight this military industrial complex. This is how I'm seeing the system itself turning itself into the superhero from the villain. So like I explained about Trump being a bag of shit before the election and now having to be something better, something in a positive light, which was actually beneficial for the system. If you turn him as the villain into the superhero, you do the same thing for the so-called American dream or the American persona, which is actually the United States persona, the superpower persona, the expansion of the so-called New World, the expansion of basically the colonial program, the colonial system. It's easier to bring people together when it's more obvious that they are divided. That's what Trump represents. He represents that old, stale, pre-civil rights time frame mentality that still exists in the mentalities of a great majority of people who were disenfranchised when the first black president came around. What does he represent? Obviously, he's a piece of shit that is sexist and creates that's a movie, that's a video, that's a reality TV show. So to close this out, as far as Trump goes, the human or global unity is easier to sell to people when the divisiveness and separation and anger and disdain and all this shit is more obvious to people. So that's what Trump represents. So to get out of this old American frame of mind, they have to amplify it so it'll die. So when that is dead and seems old, which is what Trump represents, whether they allow him to stay in there or they take him out, he will represent the old. They have to implode the two-party system. They have to implode all of the old politics. This is why they're talking about the electoral college and all this. They have to implode the superpower system in order to sell in the new version of a superpower system, and they need people emotionally attached to it to buy into it and believe it into reality, believe it into existence. This is what Donald Trump represents. It's all of these systems all put together to sell in whatever the new system means to be. It's to glorify what looks old in order to sell in something that looks new. It's the same thing that happens with the iPhone 7, knowing that they done already made the iPhone 17, 18, 19, and 20. But in order to make money off your ass, they're going to sell you some technology from 1984. And you'll buy it. Why? Because you believe in the system that tells you it's new. Trump represents the old, and they need to sell in the new collective American dream. So they need to take the American dream and make it a global dream, a human dream. And since they've already brought everybody together, or everybody's already connected in this global whatever, this United Nations, Hermione Granger and Leonardo DiCaprio mentality with climate change and global warming, and we need to do this and all this other shit, never looking at all the other storylines that are a part of that system. That mentality is being primed by the people, and you need a catalyst. Trump is a catalyst for the old to bring in something new. Hillary was there to sell in this emotional body implosion so that Donald Trump can be in there in order to set up this implosion of the old system to send in this new system. All of the politicians, all of these systems in this so-called powers that be system, it only exists in order to sell you the future. They sell you the future, destroy and distract you from the present moment, and completely sell you an artificial history. And when you have all three layers of your experience manipulated by a lie, an illusion, then that's how you can enslave yourself. That's how the sheep are made. So that's basically what I wanted to say in reference to the Trump stuff. And when he puts his cabinet together, you're going to have people get all pissy about this and that. They're going to make some mistakes. So like the last few videos I was talking about how they're going to make him look good in order to make America look good. At the same time, he's going to look like a piece of shit too. And they're going to capitalize off that at the same time. So if they can capitalize off of this move on the positive, they will capitalize on every single layer, including the negative. Like war, like going to war. That's a capitalistic program. This system was built on slavery. The so-called American dream was built on the destruction, the genocide, and the massacres of the Native and Aboriginal American people. The destroying of the history books. The destroying of ancient Egypt or Kemet. The colonization of Africa. The colonization of the entire earth plane. The near extinction of the Aboriginal Australian people. The colonization of the Polynesian people. There isn't a place on this earth plane that hasn't been messed with by the colonial program. It's got a stranglehold on the human resources as a whole. And this Trump agenda is part of the expansion. Like I mentioned, the civil rights was part of the expansion, the distraction and the expansion of the system under the guise of making the system better. So in order to make you believe that the system can be better, they have to first make the system look like shit. Trump is that turd. What does a Trump mentality do to the individual? What does it do to the collective? You can obviously already see how it affects people. You got people crying. You got people protesting. You got celebrities telling people how to think, how to act, how to do all this. It brings people together in some kind of way, but that kind of way is not at all relative to their maximum potential. Prior to this election, you had all these television shows supposedly making fun of him, making it look like they're doing it for Hillary. But this was to focus energy. This is about energy, density, keeping you dense. The more focus you have on a dense environment, the more bombarded you are by that dense environment, the more dense you become. The entertainment world, the mainstream agenda, the YouTube information stream, the social media is people's escape mechanism a lot of the times. So if you escape into a dense environment and you're escaping a denser environment, which is like your work, a lot of people hate their jobs, a lot of people want some time away, so they go into social media or something like that. That's why people do this stuff, is because it's the escape mechanism is heavily intertwined into the victimization program, which is a direct symptom of the colonial agenda, the house slave program, the field slave program. All of these programs the fire of these programs is stoked when you have an individual like a Trump and the people that he's going to surround himself with. It seems more ridiculous when it's being installed right after your so-called first black president. We cannot see that this is a coincidence. There are no coincidences. This individual being installed right after the so-called first black president, your change you can believe in, back into basically a supremacist mentality, literally hiring people with connections to the KKK, literally having endorsements by the KKK. Why is this stuff even existing? Why? Because the bar has to be set so far into the depths of that supremacy mentality that even if you take so many steps back, you're still subject to the house slave mentality. You're still within the box. You're still within those whips and chains. It's coming to a head, and this Trump character is that head. He's like the head of a pimple. And the explosion or the controlled demolition is banked upon, is being banked on. They need that so you can invest your energy into the system and buy whatever the next agenda is. Whether they can sell it to you, before they can sell you anything positive, they gotta dumb you down on the so-called negative scale and manipulate you into having this artificial savior. All these television shows, Bernie Sanders out there talking about Donald Trump, him talking about we're going to hold people accountable. He makes you believe in the system. He's a house slave, telling the slaves, the field slaves, and the other house slaves, you just got to keep believing in the system and hold them accountable. We just got to keep doing that. That's what he represents. So all these aggressive, progressive people, they represent house slaves. That's what that system is. House slave mentality. We just got to fix the system. We're going to get some progressive people in there, and we're going to change the system. You're talking about slavery. This system is built on slavery. It is slavery. This whole system is no different to the people who have been enslaved for centuries. So it's really only a big deal because the people who haven't been outwardly, overtly whipped, chained to a post, locked in cages, shot on the streets, are now being affected by this system. The privileged mentality, the so-called privileged people are now being affected. Now it's a big deal. When you had Clinton and Bush and Obama and all these other people in there, it's only a big deal now because certain groups of people are saying that it's a big deal. Why wasn't it a big deal 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 20 years ago? Listen to what they were saying in the 60s in relation to politics and see if it doesn't directly relate to what's happening today. And realize that since those words still are effective today and very relevant in relation to today's politics, you will realize that that mind control program has existed for the last 50 plus years. This is a mind control program. Politics itself, this whole worshiping of the Constitution, worshiping of the university system, worshiping of your slave masters. It's a balance between distraction, fear, emotional body triggering, and mind control as a whole. This is what's happening right now, and it's not new. The people are believing that the commercial is the movie itself. No, this is just the head of the pimple. This is just the head of the pimple on a diseased body, which is the colonial system itself. The people are talking about the pimple bursting. That's what Trump is. A nasty, dirty, cancerous, disgusting whitehead. And he's put out there so they can burst it and then cover it up real quick with some kind of global agenda, not realizing that the entire body of this disease system is sick. And it'll just come to a head again because it's synthetic. And you keep installing synthetic versions of reality into an organic system, then you're going to have problems. And this is the intention of this system, to have problems. Because you can profit off of problems. You can profit off of half-truths. That's what the university system is. That's what these so-called aggressive progressives are. Half-truthers. Alex Jones and all that conspiracy stuff, half-truth shit. David Icke, speaking on all the conspiracy stuff, so-called conspiracy stuff, he talks about reptilians, all that shit. You can go on and on and on. If you ain't mentioning the colonial program as a whole, what happened to the indigenous people, the actual human story, use a half-truth ass speaker. Half-truth programming will expand the system as a whole. This system,
Steve Bannon.
This system as a whole is designed not even to get you into understanding that those half-truths exist, but to distract you from the system as a whole. To keep you from realizing that the system is designed to keep you distracted. Installing Donald Trump is like how Apple came out with this new iPhone that doesn't even have a headphone jack. Making you buy into a system, telling you it's new. Something's going to be better. It's great. We're going to make it great again. But actually making it worse. The so-called differences between a Donald Trump and Hillary don't even matter when you expand it out to see what's really going on here. When you see how deep this story goes and how long this story's been going on. It's only a surprise to people now because the privilege of just being happily distracted is now being thrown in people's faces because the racism and the sexism and the total idiocracy of a Donald Trump is just out in the open. It's just been hidden by your previous presidents. It's been hidden by the Hollywood system. It's been hidden by your education system. It's been hidden by all of your movies. Now they have to do an international distraction. Trump is the head of the pimple, of the bursting of that pimple, which is the international distraction, which is this global agenda. He's just the white head. He's that collection of shit that has materialized into this peak, this Mount Everest pimple of shit. And that is the pressure. The two fingers, the left and the right, the Democrat and the Republican who don't affiliate with Donald Trump at all, the left and the right energy, the red and the blue, pushing that pressure of that pimple so it can explode into this global agenda. Whatever it is, it's still going to be existing on this diseased body